Hello, YouTube. Luigi here. You know, my big fear is that a real mathematician is going to look at my stuff one day and leave a comment, and I will be totally mortified and demoralized because I'm just faking it here. You know, I don't know what this is about. Well, I'm trying to avoid the word fractals because then I would have to explain them, and I'm not sure I know what they are, other than to say a fractal is something that is made up of smaller units of itself. Just think about that. Okay, what do we have here? We have a Star of David, sort of. It's not oriented like a Star of David. Here, that would be oriented like a Star of David. Okay, so it's a Star of David, as big as I could possibly draw on an 8.5 by 11. 8.5 by 11, so now you have a sense of scale. This has a perimeter of 32 inches. Perimeter, Greek, peri, meaning around, and meter, meaning measure. So you all know that. The perimeter is the measurement around. Now, I can take this Star of David and add a triangle. This is a triangle. I can do better. I can add another triangle here and do this all the way around and increase the perimeter. But it still basically started out as a Star of David, and that's what I've done here. So this is that Star of David with this extra triangle. 1/3, this baseline is 1/3 the length of this, and it's centered in that line. And now the perimeter of this polygon is 42.5 inches. We can repeat the process again and get a more complex polygon. Wow, this is looking kind of cool, huh? Whose perimeter is now 56.5 inches in round numbers. We can repeat this process again. And now this perimeter is 75 inches. We can repeat this process again, and I don't dare draw it any smaller than this because I'm not sure you'd be able to see it. This is getting pretty tiny, guys. And now we have a perimeter of 100 inches. The point is you can keep doing this and doing this and doing this until you end up with a polygon whose perimeter approaches infinity. A line of infinite length, a perimeter of infinite length on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, made up of line segments that are infinitely small, but there's an infinite, almost infinite number of them, producing a perimeter of almost infinite length. Something that's really hard to wrap your head around. Now, the more you do this, the perimeter increases at such a rate. I've graphed it. Here's the graph of that rate of increase. It's a super accelerating curve. And I have an exaggerated scale here as well, just to illustrate this. So the more you do it, the greater the perimeter becomes. And that shouldn't surprise anybody at all. Now, where am I going with all this? You know, I always have these twist endings, you know, going backwards here through the progression. Took me forever to draw these guys. So now we're back to David. Did you know that if you connect these lines, the Star of David has at its center a hexagon? You can see that, right? You get a fatter pen. I can't see it. Okay. Connect these lines and you get a hexagon. Actually, you can start with a hexagon, then extend those lines and get the Star of David. But wait, did I say a hexagon at the center? The truth is, a hexagon is made up of more equilateral triangles. So equilateral triangles are the building blocks of this Star of David. And it was the equilateral triangle that we scaled down and added time and time and time again to all these iterations. Now, there was a mathematician named Mandelbrot. He won a Nobel Prize. He's famous for the Mandelbrot set. And if you really want to see the coolest thing on the planet, research the Mandelbrot set. Okay? He posed this question, and it's relative to sort of what we're doing here. How long is the coast of Britain? Notice I said Britain. I've just learned the difference between Britain and England and the United Kingdom. Okay? And I'm almost dead. I'm so old. Okay, so I'm just fine. I'm still learning things, guys. What is the coastline of Britain? Well, it depends on your unit of measurement. In other words, if you're walking around the coastline of Britain with a stick that's a mile long, and you just keep laying it end to end as you follow the coastline of Britain, that mile will get you pretty close as you walk around, but you won't be able to get inside all those bays and get all those jutties that are sticking out. It'll be sort of like measuring with a broad stroke. But as you cut the increment down on your measurement, now you're able to get inside some of those bays and catch some of the jutties and go around and have a more accurate measurement. It'll be more accurate, but it will be longer because you're measuring around more things on the coastline. If your unit of measurement is even smaller, now you're able to get in, once in those little bays, you're able to get the little inlets and the little jutties and the little things sticking out and go around far more accurately, but you're going to end up with a greater perimeter, an even bigger, longer coastline because your increment is now smaller. And if you go smaller yet, you'll be able to measure around boulders, anything that's lying around on the beach, tiny, tiny increments, more accurate, but again, a much longer coastline. And you extend this down and down and down and down. How tight this is, guys. Until you're finally measuring around individual grains of sand on the beach, individual pebbles. Now, you might think this is far more accurate, but it's also approaching an infinitely long coastline. And that's the whole point of this. What is the length of the coastline of Britain? It's basically infinity in the world of pure mathematicians such as our Nobel Prize winner, Mandelbrot. Okay, that's it. Fractals. Isn't this cool? Isn't this cool? See how far you can take this down? And yet, we started with this. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Kind of different. Not as zoomy as, say, the Fibonacci series, but cool to me nonetheless. Take good care. God bless you. I love you all. Bye.